Having a bunch of flashes and lights as a photographer is awesome. You can control everything. But realistically, what if you don't have the budget? What if you can't really afford this right now, or another one of these, or anything like that right now? Yes, photography is an investment, but there is a point where you just can't spend money or take out a line of credit or a loan. Well, what happens if you only have, well, let me grab it right here. What happens if you only have this, your pop-up flash? Is there something that you can do to control it, to master it, to understand some things? That way you can at least get by until you can afford an external flash or a strobe or something. Well, I'm going to tell you some quick tips and some easy ways that you can master your pop-up flash the best that you can. Let's dive into it right now. So in regards to this little guy right here, there are a lot of complaints. It's obviously not the best light in the world, and it's not the most accurate, it's not the most powerful. It doesn't produce a lot of great stuff. There is a lot of issues when using this, but you can use this effectively, and that's why I said I'm gonna tell you some quick ways you can master it, and maybe some attachments that you can use to essentially, make it as best as you can until you can move on. So one of the first things is that normally when you're using this, so you're shooting like this, typically you're straight on with your model or your subject, but the problem is, as you're using this and you're too front on, the flash from here goes right into, so say you're the person right here, so the flash right here will just go right back into the camera, into the person's eyes, come out and come back right into the camera, and you get that dreaded red eye effect. Yes, that's easy to fix in post, but if you don't know how, if you're really a beginner and you don't understand that, you can avoid that just by altering your position or the way that the model's positioned. So instead of me just being here, once again, I'm looking at my monitor, I could simply go like this and bend down a little bit, or move to the side, turn down a little bit, or just some simple subtle things to get off of the direct level of the flash. So that's one of the biggest things you can correct pretty easily just by simple movement and knowing how to place, a person. Simple. Now these next two I'm going to cover are basically how to cover up like the harsh and straight on, use of the flash if you really want to try something different. So for example, you can actually, it's a little difficult to bounce flash, just having like this. That's why having an external is great. You can point it up, you can move it around, you can do a lot of things, but you can also bounce these as well. You can bounce it up to the ceiling. Once again, it's not going to be powerful. You have to be close, but it is very possible. All you really have to do is, even a business card can work. It doesn't matter the size. I just grabbed this here because I forgot the prop originally. But all you do is simply have to do something like this. See, I can do it from the side. So I would grab a smaller piece of paper, and simply all you're doing is taking the flash from here, firing it down onto the paper, and it is bouncing up and around the room. So simple as grabbing a small piece of paper, business card, positioning it in here. You can kind of cut it and tape it, and bam, you have a simple bounce card as simple as that. Once again, it's a little bigger than this. I would use something smaller, but it's something easy that you can do. Probably one of the biggest and most interesting ways to diffuse this, besides having these little pop-up things or anything, is actually using it's a tissue. I didn't actually sneeze. But actually using this as a diffusion works really, really well. I would highly recommend this. I even taught this to some of my family members because it worked really well at a family thing. My aunt handed over her camera, said to take a photo. Obviously, I didn't have all my flash stuff on me, but it was really dark in the room and this worked out well. But all you do is just take a piece of tissue and just, wrap it around the front. So it's something as simple as that, the perfect diffusion. Tissue, boom, a little less harsh light. Once again, it's not the best pro quality in the world, but you're making do with what you have. And if you have allergies, this works really well as well. The next thing you might hear is, when can you use this? What is this actually good for? Two main things. One, macro life. Now, the throw on this light, the distance that it can produce, its power-wise, isn't that far. You can only do what you can do, but what is that perfect for? Macro photography. When you're in that realm, yes, the light might be a little bit flat or something, but it can give you some decent fill light. So I'm going to throw in fill light to your macro photography, or to make some things stand out. It's not essentially terrible, or it can be a fill light. So if you're out, there's a bright sun in the background, and there's nothing else you can do, simply just pop this up, bam, and you can actually use this as a little bit of the fill light, because if someone's darker here and it's a little a little lighter here and darker here, it actually might work decently. So for fill light and for macro photography, pop-up flash can actually work pretty well for that. Now I know I'm catering to a lot of different people through my YouTube channel, beginners, advanced, the pro, all that kind of stuff, and I do a lot of things. But this is to people that don't really understand flash. Obviously, that's why we're using a pop-up flash. But did you know that this flash right here, that this can actually talk with this guy right here. So you can even borrow someone's flash gear and you can set it up to the trigger settings, so that way you can get this as a commander mode. All you have to do, just even Google what kind of camera you have and setting your camera to a commander mode, Nikon, Canon, it doesn't matter, whatever brand you use. So what essentially this is doing, this will pre-flash, so you'll get a little bleep out of this, and as this is set to receive that, it hits this sensor right here, the IR sensor, and that's not even in the frame, I'm sorry about that. And it hits the IR sensor right here, and it triggers this at the perfect time. So you can set this up as to be a commander, basically the guy in charge, and this will communicate the pre-flash it'll do. So it'll do a quick like, psh, and it'll communicate with this and set it off when you need to. So that can be a very, very strong option. Even if you are an advanced user, you might not know about that feature. Setting your pop-up flash as a commander can communicate with other flashes as well, but the problem just comes down to the line of sight, where it is, and how that can read it. So there are certain things you can do that way as well. If you guys have any questions about that, leave those down below. So you guys kind of heard me, hint towards coloring your flash a little bit. There's actually a certain thing you can buy to do that. Once again, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I completely understand that, but it does help you get by. What it simply does is it's a plastic piece that sits right here in your camera's hot shoe. It's just this plastic piece. It slips right in, and essentially all it does is it builds a plastic bulb right around, and that way you can change it to a warmer color, a cooler color, to help balance out the room in a given situation. And I'll tell my editor to throw up a picture. Hey, can you? I don't know what you do with your head there, but hey, can you throw that picture up? Okay, great, thank you. It's a little long. So those are some great things you can use to master your pop-up flash. Once again, it's not the most reliable thing in the world, but there's a lot of people out there, especially when I first started, I was not spending $200 to $400 to $500 on a flash because I didn't need it, and I didn't need it yet. Simple as that. So there are some ways to master your pop-up flash, and it's really going to help you guys out. Thank you very much. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Any requests for anything as well, hit me up on Instagram, the guy with the eye, or on Facebook and Twitter, Eric Rossi 25 if you want to find me. So that's all I got. Subscribe, like, click, share if this really helped you out. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Pop away. I do like Pop-Tarts too, by the way. Pop.